ever tamunna ala Allah. Don't ever feel like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala owed you because of something that you did. You opened the masjid. MashaAllah tabarakallah. You was responsible for opening the masjid. Tayyib. You was responsible for da'wah. Sometimes we get so arrogant. Yeah, I was responsible for opening that masjid. How come you didn't bring anything? Barakallahu feek. You was a tool that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala utilized to facilitate the truth to the people that was in that area. You was a tool. And you should be grateful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used you. But don't ever feel like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala owed you anything. Nuh alayhi salam, 950 years of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still didn't guide his son. Because guidance is not in your hands, no matter what you do. Many of us as parents, we may feel as though I exerted every effort, and we tell our children, boy, I did everything I could to raise you right, and you still do this? That's not your call. Him being guided is not in your hands. And you mentioning that, you may render all of your past deeds null and void. Because it's as if you're saying, it's as if you're blaming Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, number one, for not guiding your child, although you're taking it out on your child. Actually, what you're saying is that you're informing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you did all you could to raise him, and he's still not guided. So it's as if you're finding fault with the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because before your child was created, before you were created, 50,000 years before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought creation into existence, everything was decreed. Who was going to go astray and who was not going astray. And you can't change that. You can't change that. The only thing that you are responsible for is redirecting the individual towards that which is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran in Surah 11, ayah 88.
وَمَا تَوْفِيقِي إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ تَوَكَّلْتُ وَإِلَيْهِ أُنِيبُ.
My tawfiq, my success is by Allah. I put my trust in Him and I turn towards Him. That your success is by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So every one of us, if this is Nuh alayhi salam, then of course, less than Nuh, every single one of us, we fear for our children. But when you understand that guidance is not in your hands, you don't fall into despair, you don't grieve when you don't see the nata'ij, you don't see the results of your hard work on your children. You did what you could. Guidance is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I never underestimate the power of dua. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, ثَلَاثُ دَعْوَاتْ مُسْتَجَابَاتْ لَا شَكَّ فِيهِنَّ. There are 3 supplications that will always be responded to. There is no doubt about it. And one of those 3 is the supplication al-walid li-walidihi. وَفِي الرِّوَايَةِ al-walid عَلَى walidihi. That is the supplication of the parent for the child. Will always be responded to. And in another narration, the supplication of the parent against his child. That means our children better be careful. And so after understanding that guidance is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that raising children is Islamically difficult, there's some difficulty in it. But everything has been laid out. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Everything has been laid out for us. As the Salaf say, ittabi'u wa la tattabi'u faqad kufitum. Follow and don't innovate, you have been sufficed. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. All we have to do is take some time out of our busy schedules, look at the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and implement that in our households. The way that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to address the children with, by their names. Ya Ghulam, Ya Fulan, Ya Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Ya Fulan, calling them by their names. As we mentioned, we was talking earlier that when you address a child, whether your child or someone else's child, when you call them by their name, when you remember their name, to that child, that means something. And you find all throughout the Sunnah different things, different ways and means by which the Prophet ﷺ used to educate the youth. So it's difficult, but it has already been laid out for us. All we have to do is follow. But what makes raising children more difficult than what it already is when you have one parent that's going in the opposite direction. You're going one way, your spouse is going a whole other direction. that makes raising the children even more difficult than what it already is. You have some parents that want to send their children to Muslim school. Other parents say, no, I can't afford it, let's send them to a public school. We say, well, listen, we can save up some extra money, let's put them in a Muslim school. No, let's put them in private school, public school. And you have all of these differences that go on amongst the spouses fighting each other as to how to raise the children, which makes raising children even more difficult. Or the fact that some people are just not ready to be parents. That's the bottom line. Some people are not mature enough for parenthood. They're not ready to be parents. And I don't mean mature in age. I mean mature religiously. Religiously, you're not there yet. You're not ready to be a Muslim, responsible Muslim parent. You're not ready for that. And when you understand that, it makes you a little more cautious about, especially those sisters who are not married, who are looking to get married. You are looking not just for a spouse. You're looking for a role model for your children, which would make you a little more cautious about who you sit down with or who you inquire about as it relates to being a spouse. Don't just look at yourself. You're looking for someone for you. You want to be happy. You. When you have children, it's not about you anymore. It's about your kids. And the children have a right to be educated Islamically. So that means if you are a woman and you are single and you have children and you're looking to get married, there's two things that you need to look at. Number one, you need to look at a righteous husband for you. And number two, you need to look at a role model for your children. As Sulaim, the mother of Anas, when the Prophet ﷺ entered into Al-Madinah, many of the Sahaba, they were encouraging the Prophet ﷺ to come stay with them. Sulaim, she walked up to the Prophet ﷺ and said, I don't have a house for you to come stay at, but I have a son here, that he is your khadim, he is your maidservant, and he will do whatever you ask him to do. And that son was Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And as we're going to speak about a little later, some of the youth that came out of the house of the Prophet ﷺ, Anas ibn Malik being one of them. Sulaim, she was looking not for her son to assist the Prophet ﷺ solely, but she was looking for a role model for her child. She was looking for a role model for her son because she wasn't married at the time. And his father, who was a mushrik, died before he accepted Islam. He didn't accept Islam, he died. He was a mushrik. So Anas didn't have a father. So when Sulaim took Anas to the Prophet ﷺ, she was not just looking at herself, she was looking at her children. She wanted a role model for her son. So she left him in the house of the Prophet ﷺ, and look how he turned out. From the ulama of the Sahaba. Look at how he turned out. One of those who narrated the most hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. So you have some people who are just not ready to be parents. You have sisters, younger women, who we send out here to get married, we send them to go get married, and she's not ready to be a parent. Because in her being a parent, in her being married, she subjects herself to being a parent all in the same night. Muslim men, when you marry, although you may not have any children, you may not be prepared for children, but the moment you get married and you consummate that marriage, you can become married and a parent all in the same night. Because the night you consummate, she can get pregnant the same night. So you are the woman, she's become somebody's wife and somebody's mother all in the same night. And some people are just not ready for that. That's, and depending on how we're raising our children, maybe we're not preparing our children for that. Maybe we're preparing them for marriage, but we're not preparing them for parenthood.